So we have Stuart Mayo with us from Kanienkehaka, and can you introduce the other people that are with you, Stuart?
Yeah, good morning, Ryan. Hope everything's good with you.
It's good.
Okay, we're here today with Edith, Marie-Claude, Christine, Remy, and myself. It's all people that we've been working with on this issue. As you know, we're talking about our grandmother moon today, and the updates on what we've been doing, how we've been involved. We let you know a couple of months ago that we would be going to the UN to bring our message about protecting our grandmother moon, to stop the mining, the development slash commercialization slash militarization of our grandmother moon. So there's been a whole big process that we've been involved in over the past 5 years, since 2012, actually since 2009. But it's culminated into a thing that happened just this past weekend, or just this past week in New York at the United Nations. So what we'll do is we'll give a brief update on all of that. But before we do start, I'd like to just begin by doing a short Ahondagari Wadekwa to give thanks for the things that that give us life. And as you may know, that the Kanienkehaka are a matrilineal society, so we have to give thanks for our origins, and our origins are from within a matrilineal line, a female line. So we give thanks. I'll just say it in English really fast to save time. We always begin by giving thanks to the first being within all creation, our origins, which is Sky Woman. So we give thanks to Sky Woman because it is she who has given us spirit. And then from there, we give thanks to our grandmother moon, as it is she who has given us blood. She supplies the blood and regulates the lifeblood of all things here on earth, as all living things need for life need the lifeblood that she regulates. And then from there, we give thanks to our mother Earth. Of course, she's the mother of us all. It is she who gives us body. So we see that within the order of creation, there are 3 phases to the beginnings of creation, and those phases are identified as female: Sky Woman, Grandmother Moon, Mother Earth. And then from there, we give thanks to all the women, from the newest born baby girl to the eldest grandmother, as they are all the mothers of our nations, and therefore the authority within our people. They are the primary. The female is the primary. The male is the secondary. So it's very important for the male to continuously remind himself of this reality, that we are secondary. Our mother is primary. So when you understand that, you give thanks for that all your life, then you grow up in that mentality, that way of being, that way of existing. So that way of existing is then materializes into the world through the men, through the women. But the men that follow that path will then end up honoring that matrilineal identity. And in this process of honoring the matrilineal identity, when we give thanks for Sky Woman, Grandmother Moon, Mother Earth, well, there's our Grandmother Moon is right in the middle. We see that she plays the important role of being the heart, just like in our body. A heart, regulates the blood and all of that. So it's important in more ways than just, say, pumping out the blood and bringing the blood back into the heart. It's important for the interaction of that blood for the molecules in your big toe, molecules in your knee, molecules in your hair, in your eyeballs. So the heart, of course, does that action of pumping out, but its true purpose, its true, or its ultimate purpose would be in how it manifests throughout the entire body in every little way. Like here on Earth, that when we're looking at our grandmother moon and how she provides the blood and how it manifests in the tiniest little minuscule ways in the body. Well, for myself, I was telling people the other night that, well, I'm looking at my magnolia tree as the moon is coming out, and just at that moment, I drink the rainwater out of the flower of my magnolia tree. And that is an interaction that I have then, not only with the water, the rainwater, the magnolia tree, the flower, but our grandmother moon. It's an interaction with all these real things that are transpiring simultaneously, that are all as a result of the blood being pumped through the body of our Mother Earth from our grandmother moon. And so that those tiny little experiences that we have, the experiences that we have, these are scientific interactions that we have, because we are the manifestation of the spirit of creation. It manifests through us, and therefore any interaction that we have with other things is a scientific interaction. We just don't see it that way today, because we have been led to believe or taught that science is it's a different thing. But today, science, the way that it is, it's we talked about this many times. It's a deconstructive science. It's about how the people observe, say, a tree, and then instead of working with that tree to grow with it, the knowledge of how it was put together is then utilized to break it down. So deconstructive science is what we have today, not a science that is conducive with the creation that we live in and that we interact with. So again, those little interactions is how the mechanisms of creation manifest. It manifests as being a flower on a magnolia tree. It manifests as clouds floating by at that instance as where we are standing in relation to our grandmother moon. Those clouds then represent something in relation to somebody else that may be, say, at a different angle looking at the moon. Maybe those clouds are not there. So that experience is unique to each of us. Whatever our experience is from where we are at, this is like a human scientific interaction with the things within creation. And that interaction that we all have, that I have had, has given me a personal relationship with my grandmother moon. And in that personal relationship with my grandmother moon, just like if you're having a relationship with your grandmother and she's talking to you and maybe baking you an apple pie or something, you have reasons to appreciate that relationship, because a grandmother always takes care of the grandchildren. And so there is a reiteration of like an energy exchange that you can't identify as like being tangible. How is the energy exchange of love between a grandmother and a grandson? How is that? How can it be identified as being tangible? You can't see the love. You can't touch the love or commodify it, or gauge it even, as it leaves the grandmother and enters the grandson. So anyways, this is the relationship that I have had with our grandmother moon. And in this process that she has told me very specific things. And it's not that, well, there's a voice coming from our grandmother moon and she's saying, hey, Stuart, this and this, No, it's not that. It's the common sense that anybody in the world has access to when you look at the information that is there for any of us to access. We're exposed to information. All of us can have access to knowing what is currently the worldwide agenda for the destruction of our grandmother moon. Now, when you're listening to me saying this on the radio, anybody would say, oh yeah, worldwide agenda for the destruction of our grandmother moon, and that's science fiction, and right away the person would close their mind off to the realities, the facts of what is currently international policies of countries around the world, of the United Nations. And those policies are right now, without anyone even being aware of it or anyone having the opportunity to discuss this, to discuss the fact of, first, we know that there's going to be companies landing on our grandmother moon within less than a month. They're going to be landing on our grandmother moon in the month of June. It's scheduled. This is scheduled. It is already on the books. Now, mind you, maybe it might not happen. You know, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but that is not the thing to look at of what is possible that may not happen. We got to look at what is scheduled to happen. So when we look at what is scheduled to happen, we see countries around the world with policies, economic policies, like mainly the United States is the main assaulter in this action, this current action of what they're calling colonization of the moon. It's colonization, it's commodification, it's commercialization, it's industrialization, it is militarization. Anybody in the world has access to this information that just within the last week, Elon Musk came out and he made a statement. He was so proud. It was their first joint action with the U.S. military, that one of Elon Musk's rockets was now bringing up top secret military payload into the International Space Station. And this was just in the past week. Now that's top secret. Nobody knows what's there because it's top secret, except for the U.S. military. And then, of course, whoever is in the know on that side of the private corporation that has done this. So when we say development, you have to know and understand that what development means in this world. As we look at, we use the example of the past 500 years of colonization here in Turtle Island, that development means that first you send in your military. You send your military in to do an all-out assault. Now, of course, we're not going to send a military onto the moon like when you think army. You're not going to send army men on the moon to go and do an assault because there's no army on the moon to defend the moon. So the militarization is the process of each country on Earth that is positioning themselves to take a slice of this economic pie out of our grandmother moon. In order to position themselves, they have to protect their interests. So to protect their interests, what they do is they send their military, their policing entities that will protect their interests. And when you know that this is happening, it's not science fiction. You know, people are being fed lies to so that they do not have the current up-to-date knowledge and information as to what is happening. For instance, just yesterday, I believe it was in the journal.
May 6th, you're talking about this article? Yeah, La Presse.
In the La Presse, there was a woman journalist that put an article in there talking about this, what we're talking about right now, the development of space, development of the moon. But she says that, oh, this is science, it's like way off in the future. It's 30 years from now. If it's 30 years from now, then what happened a couple of days ago when Elon Musk sent his rocket up in a joint what would you call it? A joint operation with the U.S. military for the purposes of developing the moon. You're not doing something right now that you're only gonna set into motion 30 years from now. No, it doesn't happen that way. But this is the worldwide effort of media to whitewash this issue, where actually it's not so much of a whitewash, it is more of a blackout in the media, where the media is giving information, but they are purposely giving false information. They are purposely lying to the people to make the people believe that, well, the people know, yeah, there's going to be something going on there, but it ain't happening this week, and it ain't happening this year. It's happening sometime in the future. And you know what? Right now, the way the world is, we're concerned about war. We're concerned about economics, all of this stuff. Well, we ain't got time. The people of the earth don't have time to be concerned about what's going to be happening on the moon 30 years from now. But if you tell the people, hey, not 30 years from now, 30 days from now. So media is outright lying around the world. You look at most of the mainstream media around the world, it is all false information, and they are all like trying to soften the blow. The ones that are alluding to the fact that this will happen, they are presenting it like as if it's going to happen in a great distance from now, a great time. But anyways, it's not happening in the far off distant future. It is happening in the right here and now. Now you got to think of it like this. Imagine in your own head, you're thinking of doing something bad. You're going to do something. You're going to bust something. You're going to break somebody's window. No, you're not doing it while you're thinking about it. But when it finally actually gets done, where it started is not when you are physically breaking that window. It's where you first started thinking about it. So this is where we are kind of partially, because the thinking of all these things have already been done. The plans are already laid out, but they are just getting ready to be physically played out, these things. So we're kind of like in between that time where you think about doing something bad and you actually do it. So if we consider the the scenario of doing something bad, identifying that it's bad. If you are in between the time of thinking about it and carrying it out, then you're in the time of where you can do something about it, where you can stop it. What is happening right now to the earth as a result of the plans, just the plans for the moon. Think about this, and I'll speak to every woman, if there's any women listening. Think about this from this, I'll give you an ugly scenario, very ugly scenario. You're maybe walking down a dark alley, or you're somewhere and you know that there's a guy that is wants to violate you. And before it actually happens, before you are actually violated, women who have been in this scenario, I won't say I'm an expert, I've heard a few women speak of these things, and they've identified that they could sense it before it happens. They can sense, they can feel the intent of the individual. So right now you have the intent, the thought of 7 billion people on earth. And regardless of if they are consciously thinking about it or not, the energy from 7 billion people through their tax regimes in each government that they're a part of is all part and parcel to this plan to assault our grandmother moon. So hence you do have 7 billion people energy, their energy that is going to the process of like where that woman is of sensing that this guy is going to violate her. You got 7 billion people presenting that energy to our Mother Earth, presenting that energy to our grandmother moon. So just like a woman who can sense that, yes, there's a man that's going to try to violate her, our Mother Earth and our grandmother moon can sense these things also, the same way that you can, any one of us can, you know, we can sense danger. Well, we can sense danger because when you put 2 and 2 together, like we said, you could see the facts. Since 2012, this is what has happened. I'll give you a quick rundown chronology of 2012 in Quebec City. There was a meeting that was taking place at the Hotel Frontenac. It was the 7 controlling countries of the International Space Station. But of course, through the United Nations, you have all countries that participate. You have 7 main countries, but all countries through the United Nations, through the World Monetary Fund and the World Bank are all participants. Even if you may have heard of this, I can't say exactly where, but I've heard something along these lines. In Africa, there's a fund to help start women entrepreneurs, small businesses, to start them up. Well, you know, they're part of a very small government that gets its money through the World Monetary Fund, the World Bank, that goes to fund these women starting, these entrepreneurs starting small businesses. Well, you would figure that in that country, like maybe whatever country in Africa, you know, you might think they're not a first world or a second world, maybe they're even a 5th or 6th world type country, you know, and as far as government services and all of that. But even those small communities, through the World Monetary Fund, the World Bank, through the UN, they are all part and parcel to this space development program now. So there is no one on earth that is free of this. So since 2012 at the Hotel Frontenac, when this was taking place, there was the countries that we're talking about, the future development of our grandmother moon, / militarization, all of that stuff. So we went there, and we went there to protest and to give them the message to stay off our grandmother moon, and that the people who were present, due to the fact that they are the ones talking about development of our grandmother moon, meaning these are the people who are identifying they are going to destroy our grandmother moon. So the fact that you have people that are believing that they can do that means that they are unqualified. They are unqualified to even discuss what will happen or what should happen on our grandmother moon. Because basically, like here on Earth, the people who are destroying because of oil, destroying because of uranium, whatever else, you know, destroying because of commodification, these people are, for all intents and purposes, they are addicted to the drug. And when you have a person addicted, the drug addict, addicted to the drug, you don't have them discussing the very thing that they are addicted to. So you can't say that, well, these people that are going to go to the moon, they're not addicted to the moon. No, they're addicted to the greed that brings them there. As a matter of fact, in this article that we were talking about that was in the La Presse, they actually end up saying at the end of the article that it's like humans have no choice. We have no choice. We have to move off the Earth and start developing out there, because as the article identifies, that it's ridiculous how it's put together, this article, because it states that by the end of the century, all the resources of our Mother Earth will be gone. So we have no choice. We have to leave the Earth and go start developing out there. Anyways, what it shows you is that, well, if this is the way humans think, then humans are stupid. This is a stupid way of, it doesn't even consider the thing that you were talking about. It actually, like through the process of cognitive dissonance, it closes off the very area or the thing that you're talking about to just solely look at how we must do this. We must. There's no other option. We must do these things. So anyways, 2012, this is what happened. We went there, we protest, stay off of the moon, tell them all of this stuff. You know, I got to speak to 2 scientists, and they even laughed in my face. I spoke to this to you about this before on the radio. Anybody can check out these videos. We got them on our Facebook page. It's Longhouse Stuart Mayo. Anyways, we ended up talking to these 2 scientists. They laughed in my face when I said about the future development of the moon and all of this stuff. They laughed at me. They said, no, that's science fiction. This is 2012. If they're saying, no, that ain't going to happen in 2012, then why? Just last year, the last term of Obama, in his last year, why did he pass a law? He passed a law stating that any companies that are given permits by the United States in the spatial development or lunar development, that they are free of prosecution of any crimes for 5 years until the year 2022. So any company that is registered with the United States and is benefiting from the subsidies that the United States government is giving, because no company can afford to do this on their own. So it's all subsidized by not just one country. Countries of the entire world are subsidizing this. So the small companies that are subsidized, then of course they got no choice but, like Elon Musk, but to then do joint ventures with the military. So here's a private corporation, you're in business to do whatever, and then you want to go and develop the moon, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in bed with the military. You know, so anyways, this is the slow process of, like, instead of throwing a frog into boiling water, you know, the slow process of adjust them. You tell them, oh yeah, slowly but surely, the resources here are diminishing, and you pump into the minds of everybody that we have to keep doing this. We have to keep this development up. We have to keep destroying. So there's nothing left else to destroy here. So we have to leave our Mother Earth. We have to go to our grandmother moon, and then we have to expand further into space. So we can see that we are a cancer. This behavior is cancer, like within the body as it spreads. It gets us to the point, I'll jump ahead to the point where this year, okay, things started developing really fast since the new year in this area. So around February, we said that we were going to go for a walk. We were going to take a walk to the United Nations in April to push for the United Nations to declare our grandmother moon a World Heritage Site in order to protect her. So, okay, now in this effort, we started making contacts at the UN. We found out actually that within this time frame, there was this UN the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Peoples, whatever, it was there for 2 weeks. It just ended this Friday. So it happened that we applied a month and a half ago. What I'll do is I'll let one of the others speak about this process, because Edith, I believe it was you, Ed, you were going through the whole process, like to have us registered and all of that. So you can fill in on that.
Yeah, well, hi, everybody. Yeah, I mean, we learned about this this conference that was going on, and it was like the perfect moment, like, to try and give the message to the people. So we registered on a list that they needed to have, like, in order for any organization to apply for this conference. And the first person that was actually registered was Stuart, and every person needed to be approved by whoever was on the other side on the organization committee. And every person that we added afterwards was approved, like, let's say within some hours or the following day maybe. But Stuart was never approved. So we could go still, but we couldn't speak to the, like, main assembly, like at the United Nations, where they were having this conference. So we were giving a slot for a side conference that they call within the main conference, and it was in an annex building. And it's there that we had a great law of peace and a 201 teaching. There was some women that came. There was also a guy. It's very interesting that it's most likely the women that will show up to these kind of conferences. And it's there that the message of matrilinearity and the importance of us as women remembering who we are or where we come from was extended to the people that was there. The conference was videotaped, and well, as women and as mothers, we have such an important role of, like, it is thanks to our wounds that we have the capacity to create, and it is so connected to our humanness, and it's so taken away from us, like, lately, like the memory of the women is lost on that sense. So it is like a responsibility for all of us to remember where we come from, and matrilinearity is exactly what it is. It reminds us where we come from. Our grandmother moon is the one that created the spinning of Earth and the magnetic field and all of that life that we have had for so many centuries. It is only thanks to her that we have it. So if we cannot understand that because of the schooling that we have gone through, that is the one that is going to make us believe that it is all right to have a gun in our hand and to just support military, it's like obviously something is lacking about the fundamental comprehension of what humans are here for and what our responsibility is here to protect. Every single part of what is here everything, a microphone, a carpet, a car, comes from our mother. So how come we can pretend that we can just leave her and just continue exploiting everything and continue destroying furthermore, like we have destroyed here, so let's go destroy somewhere else. It's a very detrimental state of humanity.
But can you fill in about the what we experienced in trying to register how they prevented us?
Yeah, sure. Well, so going back to how everybody on the list was approved except Stuart, we drove during nighttime. We were wanting to get a hotel, but we didn't, so we just drove during nighttime. We got there early in the morning in New York, and we parked just in front of where the building, annex building, was given to us. So we immediately, Stuart's son and I, we just went in. Well, we tried to get our badges for, like our credentials to go inside. Obviously, Stuart couldn't get it because he was the only one that approved. And and I went inside to try and find out why Stuart has not been approved, because we had already sent previous emails before and they never answered absolutely nothing. Like, I mean, I always say I work with public too. If somebody writes an email to me and I don't know the answer, my moral obligation is to tell that person at least, I don't have the answer, but I'm going to refer to you to the person that could. So in all of these communications that we had asking, our representative has not been approved, he's our speaker, can you tell us please why hasn't been approved and can you approve him? Nobody answered. We phoned people, we wrote emails, never an answer. So that day we went trying to find out an answer of why and for him to be approved. And all of the different people that we spoke to referred us to a certain person that seemingly was the person in charge of the registrations. We couldn't ever speak to him because he was busy with the so-called recommendations of the conferences, like at the end of the conference. And at the end, it was just somebody could call him, and I was just listening to what they were saying, and he said on the phone that Stuart had not been approved because there was a lot of people on the list.
Too many people on the list.
Yeah, too many people on the list.
Now, when you think of this, too many people on the list, now this is where I'll rely right now on Facebook. If you're out there, if you're listening, you look at Longhouse Stuart Mayo on Facebook and you'll see the documents. We got a document there where we originally submitted all the names, and like he had said, mine was the first name on April 6th, I believe it was. And then everybody else was submitted like a couple of days later, and that admitted, everybody was approved within 15, 20 minutes. Now for me, not to be approved, what had happened, then for him to say at the very end, when I am scheduled to speak on the main floor at the UN. Now, I'm scheduled, my name, while Edith and my son, or we were in there speaking to them, and I couldn't be in there because I didn't have the pass, my son actually sees the list of speakers, and he sees my name on it. So that means I was approved to be speaking there on that floor. But then at that instance, for this guy, his name was Brody, something Brody, for him to state that there was too many people submitted, then you have to think about this. If you're filling out a form to come to some event with me, and there's a predetermined that you can only write, hand in, say, 20 people's names, then what happens if you hand in 21 people's names? Is that up to me to decide who the last person is who I'm going to say, no, I'm going to omit from your list? That's not for me to do that. That shows that if the UN doing that, then the UN is a dictator itself. They're dictating to us, but what they were actually dictating is who could be present to speak. And since my name was scheduled to speak there, you have to think that at that time, in the main floor, it was being live streamed around the world. So everybody's there, it's indigenous issues, whatever, you know, people are there talking about their different issues. They're talking about, oh, it's all environmental issues and things like that. Think about this. If you're having a heart attack and you're rushed into the hospital and you got a team of doctors and one of them is looking at your broken fingernail and the other one is looking at a scratch on your knee, and another doctor is looking at all stupid little superficial things. You know, what good is that going to do? You're rushed into the hospital for a heart attack. What good is it going to do to try to save the fingernail or a broken leg even? Because if you have a heart attack and you don't do nothing about it, the body dies. You know what? You spent all that time trying to fix the broken finger, and it's just a pointless effort. It's redundant to try to do that. So right now, what we identify is that there is one issue that is facing all of humanity. All of humanity is being faced with this issue, and no one on the planet even knows that we're being faced with this. Because 1 ounce of development, because you know what development means. Development is not conducive with creation. Development is destructive to creation. So 1 ounce of development of our grandmother moon means she is gone. When you consider how long the Industrial Revolution has taken to destroy creation, it's only, what, 100, 150 years at the most? And how fast the science has exponentialized in its ability to destroy the creation that it claims, science claims in one way or another. As science identifies it as the authority, then science obviously is claiming its stewardship over creation, that it is the authority over creation. So imagine our authority over creation is to just kill, 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 kill. This is our mandate, to destroy and nothing else. So if we would have had that space to speak at that time, our voice would have been live streamed around the world to bring out this most important issue that everyone on the planet is going to be affected by, because our grandmother moon, like was said earlier, affects the magnetic field, it affects the gravity, the tides of the ocean. Now imagine if the tides, just the tides of the ocean are affected. So here, we know that science right now is lying to us, telling us that these things are not going to happen. It's way off in the future. That's going to happen, like the development of our grandmother moon and that. So it's lying to us when we know it is happening next month. In the month of June, it begins. So science is lying to us, but we do have facts through science that we all have access to. Start doing the research, get involved in your family and talk to your family about, well, what does the moon do? And what would happen if the moon was, say the mass of the moon was was reduced by 10%? What would happen? Because the moment you have development on the moon, you know that all of the moon material, it's not going to stay on the moon. It's going to be removed from the moon. So you can see the mass of the moon deteriorating, and not over generations. You'll watch the moon deteriorate over days, right in front of our eyes. And there will be, I'll guarantee you, every woman on earth, that you are going to have a last good day. You are going to feel when our grandmother moon is violated, and you are going to feel that in you because it's your bloodline. And you are going to feel something snap inside of you that you will never be able to fix again. You will never be able to return it. Now think of this. A woman that gets raped, is she ever returned back to normal? You know, they can go back to as good as possible, you know, try to live the life as good as possible, but the reality is that that woman, it's impossible for her to return back to normal. So the same thing here. Is our grandmother moon going to be able to return back to normal? The answer to that is, of course, no. She will not be able to return to normal. So it was very important for our voice to be heard there. What we've seen is that the machination, the machinery of the United Nations from the very top, even here to the local, right in my community of Kanienkehaka, was part and parcel to preventing us from getting this message out there, from speaking to the world about the truth, when there's nobody in Kanienkehaka talking about this. There's nobody in so-called Canada talking about this. There's nobody in the world talking about this, which surprises the hell out of me, you know, because I ain't no scientist. I don't know what scientists know, all the stuff that they know about the moon and the relationship, the interactions with the Earth. But I know enough to know that you start developing the moon, you export the same behaviors that has destroyed our Mother Earth here. You export that to the moon, knowing that the moon is only a quarter the size of our Mother Earth. It doesn't take a genius. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what the hell is going to happen there. And it's going to happen very fast. So you can see, there's a paper trail of people in the UN who actually worked to squelch our voice. Now, Marie-Claude also was involved in trying to prearrange different aspects there of our journey, but she herself experienced that there is within the UN the resistance to having this truth come out. Maybe you can identify that.
Yes, well, hello everyone. And we've been requesting a meeting with the UN to address these issues now for 1 year, like actively calling them, making updates, you know, asking them, oh, now we're going to be in New York and so on. And we never had a reply for that meeting, like an official reply. To me, my personal involvement, getting involved in protecting the moon, it brought something so clear, you know, is when are we going to challenge the society that we're now part of and obligated to be part of? To me, right now, there are billions of dollars invested towards space. And we know all the disasters that need addressing here on Earth. I mean, the nuclear disaster and so on. That money has to be invested urgently here to correct what's wrong. So that society that we're now part of, feeding too, because that's where our tax money is going. That, to me, it brought it so clear to me that we must challenge that society. How can we accept that parents now just have like, what, an hour quality time per day with their kids? And the kids is being raised by this society that wants them to go and work 40 hours a week, 40 years, and that's perfectly normal. You know, when are we going to stop destroying the waters? When are we going to address the real key issues, the humanity that this world is lacking, that everybody in their heart are craving so badly? I can't believe that our money is going to space. I can't believe our money is still going to wars. We have to stop that nonsense. Every individual, you speak to individual, they all want peace. It's these government, these so-called 1% controlling everything in the world that benefit from that. And this is what society now has to wake up to and act upon it. Because you know what? Your tax money is going to war. You are participating in this. Your tax money is going to the moon. You are participating in this. Our governments are supposed to represent us. It's completely the upside down scenario right now. You just log on to Facebook and you just see how much like petition and protest, and it's just about protest right now. How come we are protesting our governments that are supposed to be representing us? So to me, it's an emergency. We need to wake up. We need to take responsibility. We need to act. We need people to really call the UN and ask them, hey, recognize the moon as a World Site Heritage now. We are telling you, you're not going to tell us what you're going to do. We're telling you now to do, what to do. So people can call the UN. We have a bunch of stuff on our Facebook pages, a petition, whatever. So get involved.
Yeah, the thing right now, what we are, like she said, get involved, trying to get people to do is, we made this effort to what we just explained to you. So we're asking people to pressure the UN to hear our voice, to have accommodate our voice, to make this presentation at the UN General Assembly to the people of the world. Because again, there's nobody in the world that is addressing this. Nobody's bringing it forward. So we got a campaign to push for that voice to be heard, to declare the moon a World Heritage Site. Because if there's a World Heritage Site, if it's declared that, then corporations, companies, countries can't touch our Grand Mother Moon. Now this it's an emergency because they're going to start in less than a month. Sounds like science fiction. I know you don't believe me. I know nobody believes me when I say this. It's ridiculous when I talk to people about this and I say this. No one believes. But it's not me. They act like as if it's me that's making up a crazy science fiction story or something. But I'm talking about the realities that corporations, companies, the UN right now is doing, putting in motion right now to assault our Grand Mother Moon. So yeah, come forward, help. Come out, start conversations within your family. Like we said, talk within your family as to how the moon affects us, and talk about if we can continue existing a quality life without our Grand Mother Moon, much less are we going to continue existing. So there's a lot of things that people can do. Number one thing is education. We are going around sharing this information with people. The number one thing that you need to know in this struggle or this issue is, of course, you need to know truly what our Grand Mother Moon is. And so this is what we've been offering to people. We've been going around and doing moon teaching, sharing circles to teach the people once again about how our Grand Mother Moon is the beating heart of our Mother Earth. And when we say beating heart, you think of what your heart does in your body. That's exactly what our for the body of our Mother Earth. And now we, in the moon teachings, what we do is we utilize non-native science, and we utilize the original people's science to the non-native science to confirm, to validate, and to show that, hey, yeah, this is the truth. There is no disputing it. When you sit in a moon teaching sharing circle and through utilizing the non-native science, at that point, anyone educated in non-native science cannot dispute the facts. We had a circle in Three Rivers about a month and a half ago, and there was one guy from an astronomy club, and he was very scientific thinking. And when I asked him 3 different questions individually, he said yes, 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 he agreed to them. But then when I put it all together in a ball of wax, he got emotional, and he said, no, no, no. He even like yelled almost, and he was angry. So science today cannot answer the questions. They cannot give you the answer. When you combine them with native science, you will see that there is parts of the non-native science that is non-verifiable, that is, or actually redundant also. It will only get you half of the way of understanding, and the rest of the understanding, since it's not there, it is only a 50% view of whatever they're looking at, and you cannot make a complete informed decision based on 50% knowledge of anything. So moon teachings, we're available. We go out, we do this anywhere. We do it with individuals. We come into your home, in your garage, outside, in the park, anywhere. You know, contact us. It's important to start getting this information out to everybody. And one thing along these same lines, but what I'll throw in here is that we are in this time of post-Fukushima, where the world is inflicted with cancer. Everybody, you, me, we all have cancer now because of Fukushima. We will say to the world, the answer to the disease that they have spread around the world, this cancer, is the hemp. The hemp, if you have seeds, plant seeds everywhere, by the rivers, plant seeds by the swamps, plant seeds everywhere, make those plants grow. The government is going to come, they're going to want to cut those plants down. There isn't going to be enough of them, but those plants, those hemp plants will filter out the toxins, the cancer from the body of our Mother Earth that flows through the land and makes its way to the rivers. So by the rivers and the swamps and the streams, this is the place. Plant, everyone on earth, plant your hemp. Plant your hemp, and this is going to remove the toxins from the land. It will remove it from the water, and use the hemp, but not the way the world is using it. Use it as the medicine. And that, like a what do you call that? Not a preemptive medicine. Yeah, but a medicine that you take, you know, to avoid. Preventive medicine, yeah. So that is the medicine we need to take for the cancer, but there is the medicine that we need to take to make us make informed decisions. Right now, science is telling you that going to the moon and developing her, which is destroying her, is the way to go. That is not the way to go. We have proven it here on Earth that that is contrary to life itself. It kills, it destroys. So we can't extend this behavior off of our Mother Earth to our grandmother moon. If we do, what you can see, I will say that the United Nations itself is identifying that they are waging war on humanity, waging war on creation by identifying, supporting, being behind and implementing all these policies that are going to destroy every human being on our Mother Earth. So we say, Nyawagoa, Orion, say hi to Kate and the kitties, and we hope everybody's good, and everybody get on a ball and come to the aid of our grandmother moon.
So to contact you, it's the Facebook page, right?
Yeah, Facebook page, and
I can also leave my telephone number, 418, no telephone number?
the emails.
The email, so email Marie-Claude Lacroix in one word at yahoo.com. Don't hesitate to contact us.
Okay, and the Facebook page is Longhouse Stuart Mile, right?
Yeah, Longhouse Stuart Mile. So hey, Nyawagoa to everybody.
Nyawagoa.
Thank you for listening, and you got to stand up and do something now.
Thank you. So that was